CFISD's Teacher of the Year celebration. Tonight, you will see the hearts of our teachers, support staff, and paraprofessionals on the big screen as they share their passion to reach all students in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. This will be a night to remember for the ages. You'll laugh.
Kids, I have 21. And I have one that counts for like 20. No, I'm just kidding.
You'll cry.
I had trouble in math. Okay, this isn't fair.
You'll say, "Aw."
Like most kids call me Mama Bear because I'm somebody they can come to.
Most of all, you'll know why these educators are the best of the best in CFISD. So get ready for a night of inspiration. And now, please put your hands together for CFISD's Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Henry.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. What a great night, and as I was talking to some trustees up here, this is one of our favorite nights of the year because we get to celebrate what we do here in Cy-Fair ISD, and that's taking care of students and their families. And this group of people sitting in the first three rows here in the middle have they always do a great job, but they've done an exceptional job this year, and they've been recognized by their principals and their peers on their campuses. And we are here to celebrate you this evening. This is your evening, and we look forward to seeing your videos and learning more about you. Friends and family, thank you so much for taking the time to come out this evening and celebrate with these wonderful teachers. And certainly we thank CFISD Cinema and the Berry Center for making all of this possible and making this evening special. So without further ado, we are going to get started.
This is John Williams, Hero of the Year. Take one.
Ebony McCormick.
My name is Gladys Navarro.
Floyd, F-L-O-Y-D. Briggs, B-R-I-G-G-S.
Brad Conklin.
My name is Karen Stowe. My name is Jamie Schultz.
Candace, Marshall,
Leo Legati.
Michael Dick.
Elizabeth, Angadu,
Kelly Wallace.
Oh, Karen. Cole.
Allison Kozlauskas.
I'm Tracy Hernandez.
Wendy Buckley.
Tracy Selman.
Jody Saccone.
Harry Jones.
Andy Abbott.
Kristen Corey.
My first name is T-R-A-C-Y. Last name B-O-E-K-E-R.
This is Talia, Teacher of the Year. Take one.
My name is Stephanie Rishu.
My name is Christopher Harrington.
My name is Karama Mathis. I teach at the Maybelline Carpenter Center.
My name's Elizabeth Brown.
I'm Holly Davila. Kathy. My last name's Troquet.
Kathleen Vargas.
Casey Blades.
Kimberly Perez.
My name is Marianne Dersh.
Gabriella Gia.
Michael Calafaro.
Jason Womack.
Mari Kelly.
My name is Christian Casillas.
This is Teacher of the Year. Take one.
Please welcome CFISD's Chief of Staff, Mrs. Teresa Pohl.
Good evening. First up, I would like to recognize our paraeducators and support staff of the year. We have Mr. John Williams.
The students aren't able to function in a regular classroom because of a various number of things. A teacher has to be very, how can I say, adaptive themselves in a classroom to be able to recognize that many times they may be what some folks say are the difficult kids. But really for you as a teacher is to find some way to reach that student. There's a special way you have to reach them, certain type of way they think, certain processes, you know, how they think are different from yours. And sometimes the situation they're in, they're not their fault. So we have to kind of look past the, you know, the demeanor, the dress, and really if we're able to reach the person, find out what's really making them tick and who they are, and create that you can help build, because they're coming out of broken situations. You have to somehow or another try to build them up, personality-wise, get them to know that they're, you know, they're someone special. They're not just a, you know, happenstance or a mistake, you know.
Next, we have paraprofessional from Cook Middle School, Ebony McCormick.
My kids love me and I love them. And they know me by name, I know them by name, I know all the kids. Just getting to know them and showing them that I was them. You know, I was the kid in middle school who was awkward. I didn't have any hair, who used to get talked about, and I'm still doing okay because our kids go through so much in middle school. In elementary, you see them and they're like the little kids, they're playing and smiling, but then in middle school, you don't see that. A lot of times it's so centered on testing and making good grades that the kids are stressed out about that and they don't have fun. That's the main thing I try to do when I come in the classroom is let the kids have fun because they don't have fun. So I come in, I make jokes about everything. I just want to see the kids have fun, smile, and succeed. And that's my main thing I tell them is to have fun. You're in middle school. You're like 12, have fun.
Next, we have support staff member from Cypress Lakes, Gladys Navarro.
We're like a family at Lakes. Everybody helps each other. If I need help with something, the APs would come and give me the support, and the principal is always supported in everything we do. At the end of the day, it makes me feel so good to serve them supper because I know some of the students go home and that's going to be their last meal of the day. So I'm make sure every student that comes through the line for supper eats a meal before they go home. They come and say, "Thank you, Mom." You know, some of them, they tell me that I'm their like second mom. So yeah, it feels good. It feels good when the students come and tell you thank you. Or, I mean, I have a lot of students that are grateful. Every day they come and thank the ladies, my rest of the staff, say thank you for the delicious meals, and especially at supper, all the athletics. After they come from practice, they come and say, "Oh, thank you, we were so hungry." It makes me feel real good.
Support staff member from our distribution center, Floyd Briggs.
I'm a distribution truck driver / bus driver. The difference between my job and a regular truck driver is I go home every night. I'm not on the road overnight. And helping kids. I had kids as products of Cy Fair. My daughter graduated Cy Springs, 2 boys coming out of Cy Woods. My youngest now at Goodson, so I enjoy helping kids, helping people. It makes you feel good knowing somebody is watching. Because you go in, day out, you never really know what somebody's watching. But I feel good. I mean, I feel good. I try to take care of all my schools the same, but I guess, you go out the way for them. I try to do that with everybody. My mother once told me it won't kill you to be kind. I guess now it's paying off. But yeah, I'll interact with them over there. Whatever she asks me to do, I try to do it if I can. And that's with all my schools, but I appreciate them noticing it.
And now I'm pleased to introduce our CFISD Secondary Teachers of the Year. First, we have Cypher High School, Holly Davila.
Well, I think I kind of picked teaching when I was 5, and then it would grow with me. So when I was in elementary school, I was going to be an elementary teacher, and every year I just got a little older, and so then I was going to be a teacher of a 5th grader, and then I was going to be a 6th grade teacher. And when I got to high school, I was like, high school English, that's it. I found it. They read books in here. That's awesome. I love books. And then I went to college, and I still wanted to be a high school teacher. So I was like, here we go. This is the plan. I just think I'm a lifer. I just knew it, and it is home to me. That classroom, as crazy it is, and with all those piles of paper, it's still just a great place. I love to be with students in their most important, formidable moments. I feel like high school is a season where you're learning who you are and how to think and what you're going to believe and what motivates you and what drives you, and to be able to have the opportunity to speak into that or to be around or to encourage that is just a really, really incredible gift. And so how can I leave that? It's the best. I found it.
Next, from Watkins Middle School, Kristen Coriath.
I grew up here in Cy Fair. I went to Wilburn Elementary, Campbell Middle School, and then Cy Ridge. I had great teachers and I had administrators that really kind of had my back and and helped me believe in myself. And I think that that's exactly why I wanted to come back here, is because I wanted to continue basically that tradition that, you know, that's what Cy-Fair does, you know, we support and help each other. I went to Campbell Junior High where Dr. Martinez was the AP, which now he is the principal at the school that I teach at. When I went into the interview, I tried to play it cool, like I didn't know him, like he didn't say anything, and then he started talking and we started discussing things, and then he said, you know, was there anybody in your life, you know, in school that kind of like helped you, you know? And I like looked at him and I was like, okay, well, yeah, actually you're the one that kind of, you know, helped me out, so.
From Watkins Middle School, Michael Galafaro.
My wife had some influence on that. I retired after 33 years, spent about 6 weeks in the house, tried golf for a living, but I'm not good. She said, I don't know what you're going to do, but you're not going to stay in the house. So I went for my first job assignment at Cypress-Fairbanks for an interview, and they offered me the job, and I said yes. Our mission now is to develop citizens of character dedicated to serving their community and their country. So that means they have to be polite. They have to show courtesy. They have to be well-behaved in class. You have to be in grooming standards. Male normally have to get their hair cut. Ladies have to watch the nail color they're wearing. Parents that tell me, thank you. It's not the same child that I had. You don't know the difference. You don't see what they don't do now at home, which they used to. And that's the real reward. Because they're right, I don't see what happens outside the classroom, but I know it has impact outside the classroom.
Michael gets a do-over. That's Michael Galafaro from Cypress Springs High School. Next, from Cook Middle School, Michael Dick.
I believe they are learning those life skills, such as, you know, perseverance, whether it's, you know, we're handing them a new piece of music that's more difficult than they have been able to do before, and teaching them to be able to accomplish that, to not give up, to, you know, continue working and working until they're able to play it at a high level, master it to where they feel really, really comfortable playing it. You know, I want to teach them teamwork as well. I want them, when they get out into the real world, to be able to, and no matter what profession they are, have that work ethic that they're going to work really hard at whatever job they do, whether they're a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, that they're going to be able to work with their colleagues that they have at their place of work, and be able to get along with other people in such a way that they can communicate well, and you know, just have everybody at that place work as a team to help whatever that they're working for be able to be successful.
Next, we have Jamie Schultz, Arnold Middle School.
I knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was in 5th grade, when I was a student with a learning disability. I just couldn't comprehend what I was learning, and my teacher was awesome. I was pulled out into resource, and she helped me a lot. Miss J was her name, and I lost trust in teachers up to that point, because when I was in 1st grade, a teacher called me stupid, and so from that point on, I had a shell, like a wall up. And so when I met her, she helped me. She kind of broke that wall down. I still have struggles, but I have adapted to those struggles, and that's what my teacher was teaching me, how to deal with it, because it doesn't go away. You just learn how to adapt to it. And so for the position that I'm in now, that helps, because I know what these kids are going through. They may not have a disability, but they struggle at something, and so I try to pinpoint it to help them be successful.
From the Alternative Learning Center East, Talia Curiel.
I was diagnosed with leukemia when I was 20 years old. I was given 2 weeks to live. I underwent a bone marrow transplant January 28, 2003, and that was my second chance at life. My kids at ALC, they need that second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth time because of the things that they go through. So I really have a compassion. My life was different because I was diagnosed with cancer, because I overcame a horrible disease. I had an amazing support system. My mom, my dad, who through so many chemos, through the transplant, never left my side. I feel like my kids need somebody like that because a lot of my kids unfortunately don't. When you really get to talk to these kids and you hear their life story, it's rough. A lot of the kids have parents that have been in jail, no parents, they're foster kids. So I know that I'm there to give them that second chance. I'm there to tell them that somebody does care. I'm there to let them know that they can be the smartest kid in the classroom. So that's why I'm there, because I'm all about second chances. I'm all about compassion. I was given compassion by God, and so I want to extend that compassion to my kids, because they're not bad kids. They're just kids that have made bad choices.
From Salyards Middle School, Tracy Selman.
Back when I was a kid, I felt like there weren't always teachers that understood me. I felt like I wasn't the perfect student, even though my mom was a teacher. I felt like I struggled a little bit, and I guess when I decided to become a teacher, I felt like maybe I could be empathetic, and I feel like I can really connect with kids, because when I see them struggling, I remember how it was to struggle. And I know when kids say, you know, Miss Selman, I have trouble reading and I can't pay attention. I said, I know, I used to be like you, and I felt like I could show them that there was hope, because I really felt like if they could see I could succeed, then they could succeed too. And a lot of times that's what made me, I thought, you know what? Seeing them happy when they succeed, when they feel like that they haven't done well, that I don't know, that just has touched me so much, because I've seen kids that hated to read, and then all of a sudden they start seeing the hope, and then they have a will to do it, and that just brings such joy to me.
Andy Abbott from Truett Middle School.
I was the class clown. I joked around a lot. Fine arts really kind of gave me focus. It gave me something to be passionate about, and it gave me something to occupy my time with, so that I wasn't, you know, having idle hands and causing problems. As I was finishing my degree, I was also a professional musician. And so when I sometimes would tour, go out of town, when I would have days off, I would substitute teach, and I really developed a passion for that. I play fiddle, guitar, mandolin. I sing harmony vocals. I've been doing it for a very long time, and that's actually, I bring some of that stuff into the classroom. Sometimes I'll have a goofy song with them with guitar in the classroom to help them kind of remember things and make it fun, because I think bringing a sense of humor in the classroom is very important. You got to have passions in life, and music and helping kids, they're both passions of mine.
Next, we have Lori Kelly from Jersey Village High School.
Well, my students don't speak with words, so they speak with their body language and everything, and just their excitement. Even when I take them out into the main population, like we sold carnations yesterday, and I had their VODs, their voice output devices, and it was set up for saying things, and they just kept pushing them and laughing and loving it, and they felt a part of the crowd because they were at the table with me. It's so exciting when we do graduation and we walk across that stage, and it's just knowing there's not a lot out there sometimes for them, and I want them to continue their social, and they want to be with other kids, but that's very difficult with their needs to be in a safe environment that's not funded by the state, you know, and so sometimes they don't go anywhere else, they go home, and letting go and just knowing that they're there, not being social anymore. It's hard for me because they're so happy, and I like them to be happy.
All right, we're going to work first.
From Cypress Falls High School, Katie Vargas.
I never thought of myself as a teacher, and then all of a sudden I became a teacher, and I'm like, I can't imagine doing anything else because I like it. Like, I love it. I love my job. Like all teachers, I'm really excited when the summer starts, but by the time like August hits, I just want to get back there. I think it transfers in, like, I just want to entertain. Well, I mean, they have so many things going on outside that I can't control. There's things I can't control, like where they live. I can't control their family life. So when they come in with that baggage, if I can get them to leave it for the 50 minutes I have them and just kind of enjoy life and trying to get them to smile. Because if I can get them to smile, then they're more open to whatever I might say or whatever I might teach or whatever question I might ask them. Maybe not love economics, I get that, not everyone loves economics, but if I can get them to enjoy life, then I've just kind of succeeded for that 50 minutes that they're with me.
From Cypress Lakes High School, Casey Blades.
I teach art, art history, soccer, and cross country. The best part of the class is getting to take the kids to the Museum of Fine Arts downtown. Most of them have never been to an art museum, even though they've taken this art class. Just seeing the artwork in person is takes it out of the books and into real life, and it puts it on a whole nother level. The textures of the paintings, the size of the paintings, to see the paintings in person and be like, wow, I'm standing in front of a Kandinsky. Art has so many connections across the curriculum. You know, when they're doing linear perspective, they're studying math. They're using that vocabulary. When they're studying art history, they're putting together the social and political concepts and context that was going on in that time and seeing how it visualized in a painting from that time. It just, again, brings the curriculum to life, and there's places to find connections everywhere. It's problem solving. You know, art is never giving up and being persistent. It's taking something blank or taking something, just a lump of clay, and turning it into a masterpiece.
From Caleb Middle School, Tracy Hernandez.
My class is a place where people like to be. I have kids coming from all over Cy-Fair and different countries too. I have 10 languages spoken in one of my math classes. And I always have a lot of people coming in my class, other teachers, cooperating teachers, mentor teachers. And so it's a place where people like to come and learn and be together. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but when they just know and they have this sense of belonging and being that maybe you haven't seen in that student before. They kind of come out of their shell and go, wow, I'm part of something. I understand this. It makes sense. The world makes sense. So I love that part. I like to see them succeed. And sometimes it's just inch by inch when they're working hard and maybe they don't get a concept at first, but they can't fail. In my class, you can't fail. The only way you can fail is if you quit. My hope for my students is that their dreams come true.
From Goodson Middle School, Kelly Wallace.
We just hit 1 million words read in my morning block, and one kid had been reading this book, and he'd seen it up on my my board. Every 30 seconds it changes to a different book cover because they don't really see a lot of books and talk about books. So he's like, I want to read that book, Dorothy Must Die. And he's like, I want to read that. And this kid who would never have picked up Dorothy Must Die, a Wizard of Oz, an anti-Wizard of Oz book, read it, and they were like, everybody take the test, Mike, take it. And that his test passing it put us over 1 million words. So they all clapped for him and cheered, and he just was like, I want to read the second book. That's why I do it. And that's how we, he's hooked now. So, and then he's going to hook 2 more people because he's told them, you got to read this book. And that character doesn't look anything like him or sound anything like him, but he was hooked. We do lots of celebrations, little things. The software, they get, I got 2 gold stars, and you got these big 8th grade football players high-fiving each other, and they're not embarrassed in there. So that's what I do.
Next, we have Kathy Troquet from Cypress Creek High School.
I really like working with the kids. End of the year, I'm exhausted like every other teacher. However, when July comes around, I'm kind of antsy because I want to get back to school. I like to try new things. I tell my teachers in our department that I usually don't teach the same thing the same way twice, because if I'm getting bored with it, I'm pretty sure the kids are. So in summer, I like to work on designing new and innovative ways to get kids to do a project or a new way to learn a body system. So instead of a traditional, we're going to memorize body parts and then what they do, we're going to create a project, and we may build something that is a video, because I want to see, hey, can they figure out how this is related, which is kind of fun, and I love doing that.
From Cypress Ranch High School, Marianne Dersch.
1990 was my first year of teaching, and I told myself when I first started teaching that if I ever lost the passion to teach, then I'd stop. Because if I ever lost the passion to teach, then I'd stop, because to me that's not fair to the kids. That they deserve a good teacher, and they deserve, I promised myself that I wouldn't lose the passion to teach, or if I did, I would stop teaching, because to me that's a lot of what teaching's about. Because while the money's good here at CFISD, that's not why we're in it. We're in it because we're helping society as a whole. We're helping the nation, really, when we teach. The thing that's really irritating is when you're at that point, why am I still doing what I'm doing? And then all of a sudden some kid gives you a note and says thanks. And that's why.
Next, we have Christopher Harrington from Winfern High School.
These students, a lot of them really need to understand that failure is a part of life, and even though they have failed, and some of them failed again, and are still failing, they're an 18-year-old freshman, anything like that, you can accept that you learned something and move on from there. I'll tell them anything about me that I think they can relate to, and most of it's my failures. You know, I'll talk about my times in the Marine Corps and the fact that most of it I did not enjoy. Well, the nature of an infantryman is I fought. Right, like an infantryman, I was a rifleman. I basically patrolled through cities looking for the bad guys. You tell someone you're a Marine, suddenly you are the toughest, meanest person they've ever met, even if you're not. So that when they see someone that they regard as tough and unbreakable, or whatever those Marines are, who's willing to be vulnerable and show their weaknesses and tell them about their failures and be kind to them, I think it helps them understand that it's possible to have multiple sides to yourself.
From Campbell Middle School, Leo DeGario Vivas.
By 8th grade, I had settled down a lot. I had matured a lot. Those previous years, I was always talking back pretty much to anyone. And that's what got me in trouble a lot, getting jumped. When they talked about colleges, I had no idea about colleges. There was this guy by the name of Eduardo Garces. He pretty much like embedded into my head, you gotta go to college. Next thing you know, I hear myself, I wanna go to college. I was pretty bad at most subjects, so I had to work really hard, and most of them to get an A. I was really studying day and night because I wanted to get that A. But then I realized that in math, I didn't really have to do, too much studying. In fact, with math, I had enough free time to help out my classmates. I was telling them the exact same thing the teacher was telling them, except that they claimed that I was making it a little bit more clear. So, and she called it a gift. And as soon as I, found out there were teaching positions available for math, and I just went into it.
From Blau Middle School, Candace Marshall.
Well, I've always been a reading and math teacher. I know the students that I work with, most of them are disabled in math, but they're also disabled in reading. And I'm like, how do I combine this? I have these students that have multiple disabilities, but yet they still need to learn this curriculum. They still need to contend with their general ed peers. So it's calculators, it's pictures of a calculator, there's everywhere, and all the strategies, and we talk calculator language. And I made really the language of the calculator more fun for them. Video, singing, I make myself look silly sometimes. So with me singing and presenting it to the kids in a way that's really, it makes them feel comfortable. And I have the students that don't feel comfortable with their accommodations. They're not comfortable just being a learning disabled child. They don't understand that. All they know is that they're different. But when they come in my classroom, all of that is out the door. When you come in, you are a regular child. You learn differently, and I'm going to reach you the way that you learn.
Next, we have Tracy Boker from Spillane Middle School.
I don't know that I make it cool. I try to make it funny though. I try to incorporate as many really funny stories from my life, just relate everything back to my own life and make it as funny as possible so that hopefully they enjoy the class, and once they enjoy it, they get a little bit more comfortable, more confident. When I was in 7th grade, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I remember asking a lot of questions. I was super talkative. I was very inquisitive. And I remember asking a question about solving a problem a different way. And I believe my teacher told me at the time, just stop talking. Sometimes people just aren't good at math. And it wasn't that I wasn't good at it. I was just thinking about it a totally different way. I mean, who knows that my way wasn't better than the way that I was being taught. So I feel like if you're approachable and kids like you, then they'll do better for you. Hopefully their grades go up. You see smiles on their faces. They're not scared of math anymore. That's the plan, at least.
From Hopper Middle School, Allison Kozlowskis.
Science has always been interesting to me, and I like the hands-on aspect of it, of actually being able to go out there and do something, and just getting to do the labs, and the kids get really excited about it. They come to class ready to do something. One big thing that we do with space is we take them outside and we do a scaled model where they go step by step and we scale out what the solar system looks like, so they're able to really grasp how large the solar system is and how large the universe is, and see it themselves instead of just being this abstract idea of the distance in between the planets and things like that. Just looking at a picture, just looking at a PowerPoint isn't going to be memorable. Actually going outside and getting to place a little planet in the ground, that's what helps them remember how far apart they are, what order they're in, where the asteroid belts are. They're able to actually see it in front of them.
Next, we have Karen Cole from Hamilton Middle School.
What I've noticed over the years, I feel like there's a big wave of non-readers. That's discouraging to somebody like me who just thinks that everybody should love to read. So I kind of thought, how can I meet some of these needs in the classroom? And then I realized, wow, I'm getting a lot of kids that have been identified or labeled as dyslexic. So I just became very interested in it. Everything I thought I knew about reading wasn't true anymore. I kind of had to reteach myself. So it's been really a big learning curve for me. 40 hours of professional development, and it felt like you're learning a new language, and then you had to teach in this new language to kids that don't know the language either. Yeah, it was very difficult. It was actually very challenging for me, so I went back the next summer again to take the whole course all over again, and they gladly welcomed me in. I just wanted to feel confident about it, and so now I feel really confident. But it was like a new language.
From Cypress Ridge High School, Gabriella Gia.
I was a senior in high school. I was taking ROTC at Cypress Ridge High School, and Lieutenant Colonel Stephen Rakel asked me after school one day what my plans were after high school, and I told him I had no plans. So he asked me if I ever thought about college, and I said, nope, I've never thought about college. That's never crossed my mind because no one in my family has ever gone to college. And he helped me through the entire college process, and I did it, and I graduated with honors. And I was the first in my family to do that, in my immediate and extended family. And so now I have cousins who are also graduating from A&M. My little brother will be going to college next year. When I graduated from U of H, I only applied to Cypher ISD, and I only interviewed with Cypress Ridge High School. And so I wanted to also open up a door for these kids, just like he did for me.
From Cypress Woods High School, Jason Womack.
I was in choir in high school, and I've sung in church all my life, and music has always been a part. I did the garage band thing through college and played gigs and did all that. But I actually went to U of H to pursue architecture, so I was always fond of math. Math is all the way through music. There are so many formulas in music. There are so many progressions, the poetry of the text that we're singing, so the English aspect of that. There's so many cultural references in the music that we sing. In science, the overtones, the frequency. I'll talk to my basses, the lowest guys that are singing, and how they create sound in that register versus a tenor who's creating sound in the upper register. For those two voices to sound the same in an ensemble, they have to do things differently. At the end of the song, they stopped, but it had actually created vibrations in the piano because they were singing in tune so well that the sound carried on, and it just really shocked them and excited them to see, hey, we really were in tune.
Next, we have Elizabeth Ongadoo from Dean Middle School.
The kids know when you care. You don't have to tell them. They know it, and kids will work for you if they understand that you care for them. I have high standard, I said high standard for my students, regardless of where they are. I'm able to reach them, just use a variety of techniques to get them there. Like most kids call me Mama Bear because I'm somebody they can come to. They can come and talk to me. Just being able to relate with the kids and understand that they come from different backgrounds, and child A and child B, they are pursuing the same thing, but they can pursue it and you can reach them at their level, and that's important. I grew up in Kenya, and my dad originally was a teacher. One of his best friends was a teacher, and he nicknamed me. Japunj means teacher, so they would call me that. Japunj, Elizabeth Japunj, teacher.
Bradley Conklin, Anthony Middle School.
I come from a family of teachers, of course. My grandfather's superintendent in Wyoming, and I have quite a few other teachers in the family, but my mother was a teacher, and for a long time I kind of rebelled. I thought I want to do something else with my life, but then it pulled me in. The most important thing for me is helping people and my love of art, and teaching is kind of a combination of the two. I see kids, their ideas come to life. I get to help them make a breakthrough. I also, in my teaching, I really enjoy helping build their character. I feel like, and when you're originally starting teaching, you think it's content, but the more you get into it, you think you're building character, you're building citizens, you're building the things that will last their lifetime, the honesty, integrity, overcoming obstacles, and I get to see that every day.
From Smith Middle School, Jody Saccone.
For our kids that live in some of the areas where there's more wealth, I think that sometimes they live in a little bubble and they don't really realize what's going on beyond that little bubble. And so I think that helps them, see that everybody doesn't have the same life that they do, and everybody needs to work together and accept each other and, feel that we're all in this together. I just think it's so interesting to watch the different personalities of middle school kids. In fact, that's why I'm teaching middle school and not high school, because middle school kids are still there, they're still open, they're still in it to try it. So it's satisfying to me to see that can work with middle school kids, and that they can be compassionate and have compassion for one another.
From Libi Middle School, Wendy Buckley.
One of my greatest opportunities as a teacher is to help a student feel valued. I feel like every kid that walks through my door has something to contribute, and I just try to find that and celebrate it. And I notice that in our classroom, when we all celebrate each other, our classroom is a really positive environment, and it's a place where I like to be, but it's a place where the kids really like to be also, and it's just a fun environment. I feel like by me making them feel valued, I am helping them to boost their self-esteem, but it also is kind of selfish in ways because it makes my life a lot easier because I'm in a place every single day that's a fun place for me to be. The students light up. They get so excited and they get so confident, and One thing I can say is if you asked any student in my class, they would tell you they're good at math.
From the Alternative Learning Center West, Stephanie Rishu.
The way I think about my students and I describe my students is that they really are no different than the same young people that are walking the halls of the regular campus. They just happen to get caught. Really and truly, they just happen to get caught. We've all made our mistakes. No one of us is perfect. And so to judge the gravity of their mistake, who am I? I've made my own. I happen to be one of the people that was resilient and able to overcome some of the things that the circumstances in my life and poor decisions that I made. Do they deserve a chance to have the support that they need to overcome their circumstances and their choices? Absolutely, absolutely. Our society is far better off if we afford them an opportunity to take advantage of the resources around and to do better.
Next, we have Karima Mathis from the Carpenter Center.
I interviewed with Ms. Carpenter, and I just immediately really started to like her a whole lot. The day of the interview, she literally told me, she said, "You might get spit on and hit while you're here. Do you have a problem with that?" And I was like, "No, I don't." The students at the Carpenter Center have been told that, you're not going to have success here, so you need to try to have success elsewhere. So we're really the last stop for them, and we have to show them how to have that success, how to create that success. And a lot of that comes from just showing them things that they haven't been shown before. I talk to students that haven't heard of nursery rhymes, that they don't know any nursery rhymes. And so, even though it seems that basic, a lot of them are missing things in their lives that makes you an adult, makes you have compassion, makes you have feelings. So, when you can kind of fill in some of those holes that might have been missed along the way, that's when you start to see the real success.
From Cypress Park High School, Kimberly Perez.
This is my 24th year in education. I teach Spanish at Cypress Park High School. I teach 4 AP, 5 AP, 2, 3K native speakers. I grew up in Mexico. I was born in Peru. My father's a mining engineer, and so I grew up with both languages. And I'm passionate about Spanish. When I moved from Mexico to the States to go to school, I always knew that if I was a teacher, I wanted to teach Spanish. And so I pretty much consider myself a native speaker, and so I just absolutely love it. I am very hands-on with my students, but also we like to have fun. And our motto is what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So pretty much what happens in here stays in here, because the kids are embarrassed most of the time. They don't want to speak. And so I just tell them, remember, we're in Las Vegas. And so that's why I teach, that's the reason I teach Spanish.
From Aragon Middle School, Karen Stahl.
I played school, brought worksheets home from teachers. I bought old textbooks from bookstores, but it never crossed my mind I wanted to be a teacher. I went to college to be an accountant and didn't do well at that. The first math class they had me in there, the first accounting class, I did not do well. My mom was a bookkeeper, so I figured I could do it. I had trouble in math, starting in algebra, and my dad helped me a lot. Okay, this isn't fair. My dad helped me a lot, and so he was an engineer. So it was not always easy for him to bring it down to my level. And so that was another reason. It's like I wanted to make it easier. I realized that my dad had that difficulty because he was just up there on that engineer level, and he had to try to bring it down for me, just back to basics. And so that's what I try to do in the classroom, is just try to bring it down and break it down as basic as I can.
Next, we have Michael Dearman from the Carlton Center.
I came into doing what I do because I had a cousin that was paralyzed at 16 years of age, and I saw the adversity that he faced day in and day out. I would help him summer in, summer out. And it took not only me, myself, it took an army of people to overcome the adversity that he faced every day. He now is able to function in society without the help of myself and others, and creating and being there and physically being active and involved. He wouldn't be where he is today. I want all my students to see the best in themselves, see their ability rather than the disability. My students push me to more and more challenges, and I'm there to help them be the best they can be.
Dr. Elizabeth Brown from Bridgeland High School.
I have my PhD in chemistry, and they ask me, like, well, what'd you go to school for? Well, chemistry. And your response is literally, ew, like everybody, every time. So when your kids come into chemistry, they're like, oh, I'm in chemistry. And that's the stigma it gets, and I don't want kids to think that. I mean, chemistry's cool, and chemistry is everywhere. It's all around you. When you see the kids, and all of a sudden, chemistry turns from that sour thing that you have to go to every day to, wow. It's making a better generation for the future. I love teaching and to build the relationships with these students, to mentor them, to see them grow not only as scientists but as human beings. The more that they see it's not some boring class that you have to take and write down lots of notes, it's your life. It is everything that you're dealing with. I mean, this is my dream job.
And our final Secondary Teacher of the Year honoree, Christian Casillas, Langham Creek High School.
When I started at Langham my first year, I was ready to quit by day 4 of week 1. And I was talking to my mom that Thursday afternoon, and I told her, you know what? I am not going back tomorrow. I'm gonna mail in the keys. So I put the curriculum aside for a bit, and I started, getting to know them. And what really taught me how to, be a teacher was dealing with those troubled students who, mom and dad get home at 11 p.m. every night and they don't interact with anyone, or they're moving from a friend's house to the other friend's house because they don't have a place to stay. A lot of the times they do not have anyone who cares about them. I ended up with having kids who did not enjoy the class because of the content, but they will enjoy coming to my classroom.
Please welcome CFISD Board President, Dr. John Ogletree.
On behalf of the board of this great district, I want to thank you and congratulate you for every moment you've spent with our students. We know your work is more than content and context, and we thank you for you are the purveyors of so much in the classroom and outside of the classroom. We thank you for conveying to our students love, compassion, and hope. Each day you spend with our students, you let them have and receive the message of this district that there is opportunity for all. May God bless each and every one of you.
And one more warm welcome for CFISD's Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Henry.
Thank you, Dr. Ogletree, and I would like to take just a second. Now, this is what our wonderful teachers, our paras, that we're honoring this evening, and that's wonderful. But another thing that's wonderful about this district is this Board of Trustees. We have 6 out of 7 of our members that are present today to honor you. And you'll appreciate this, that the only trustee that is not here is a teacher in another district, and she's on the job. So you will understand that. But we have, you met Dr. Ogletree, our board president, Mr. Bob Covey, Miss Debbie Blackshear, Mr. Don Ryan, Miss Darcy Mongoya, and Mr. Tom Jackson, and we thank them so much for being here. Educators, this was about you this evening. We hope you felt honored. We certainly appreciate the work that you do, the difference that you're making in the lives of children, and the difference that you're making in the lives of Cyfair ISD children. So we're proud you're in this district. And I would tell you that at the conclusion here in the atrium, there's a reception out there. If the elementary teachers and honorees left anything, there'll be something for you out there. Because then we're going to have the elementary program right after this. So please, you're dismissed. Thank you, friends and family, for being here, and please go enjoy the reception. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Please exit quickly through the north exit so that we may prepare for our next event. Enjoy the reception, and please join us at 7:30 for the Elementary Teacher of the Year celebration. Welcome to CFISD's Teacher of the Year celebration. Tonight you will see the hearts of our teachers, support staff, and paraprofessionals on the big screen as they share their passion to reach all students in Cypress-Fairbanks ISD. This will be a night to remember for the ages. You'll laugh.
Kids, I have 21. And I have one that counts for like 20. No, I'm just kidding.
You'll cry.
I had trouble in math, and okay, this isn't fair.
You'll say, "Aw."
Like most kids call me Mama Bear because I'm somebody they can come to.
Most of all, you'll know why these educators are the best of the best in CFISD. So get ready for a night of inspiration. And now, please put your hands together for CFISD's Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Henry.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here as we honor these wonderful teachers this evening. What a great honor when you think about we have about 16,000 employees in this school district, and there's only, I think, 55, 56 of you here today. Think of how special you are, and we want to make sure that this evening recognizes or it makes you feel special this evening. But before we begin that, I do want to introduce our Board of Trustees. Now, let me tell you, we've got wonderful teachers, we've got a wonderful community, we've got wonderful support staff, but we've got a great Board of Education. We have 7 members, and 6 of them are here this evening, and the only reason the 7th person is not here, and you will appreciate this, teachers, she's an elementary teacher and she's working tonight. So I know you understand what she's doing this time of year. So let me introduce our board members very quickly. Our president is Dr. John Ogletree, Mr. Bob Covey, Miss Debbie Blackshear, Mr. Don Ryan, Miss Darcy Mongoya, and Mr. Tom Jackson. That's the kind of board we have, and you know, something that I tell my colleagues around the state, we're just 3 weeks away from graduations, and we will graduate over 8,000 seniors this year, and these board members, along with our other board member, will be at every graduation, and that's like a 4-day marathon. So again, this community's done a great job of picking their board members, and certainly we're proud of them. But teachers, this is your evening. We're so glad you're here. Friends and families, people from the campuses, thank you for being here. I just commented, I think splitting this into secondary and elementary actually increased our crowd because you know you're not going to have to sit there for 3 hours. But we appreciate you being here. Certainly we appreciate CFISD Cinema Team for all the great work that they've done on the videos, the Berry Center for always making these types of events wonderful. So without further ado, let's get on with the program. Thank you.
DeAndre Hobson.
My name is Quentin Baker.
My name is Raina Richardson.
My name is Susan Dennis Garcia.
My name is Rosanna Andrade.
Kelly Bartels.
Lori Casamus.
My name is Stacy Fisher.
Angelica Pena.
Jason Lancaster.
Lee Ann Dyer.
Lindsay Collier.
My name is Rebecca Messa. My name's Amy Brochus.
My name is Lauren Juneau.
Tanya Coops.
Molly Malillo.
My name's Belinda Martinez.
Heather D. Cook.
Courtney Banks.
My name is Kimberly Haber. I'm Renisha Jones. Brandy Zambrano.
Josleni Garrido.
Sarah Hoffman.
My name is Judy Votes.
My name is Celeste Angel.
Caroline
Williams.
Brittany Bondi, Teacher of the Year, Take 1.
This is Teacher of the Year, Rolanda, Take 2.
Gina Pena. Brandy Mendoza. Christina Porter.
Judy Wagner.
Connor Jeremy King.
Megan Martin. Kazi Escalante.
Diana Barraza. My name is Miley Wiggum.
I'm Leslie Strong. My name is Donna Snook.
My name is Kamitra Baker.
Michelle Bellamy.
My name is Kelly Edkin. Meredith Robertson.
Kathleen Denoma.
Edna Gananin.
Amy Healy.
I'm Stephanie Ingridson. Callie Pena Florida.
Veronica Castillo.
Stacy Hernandez.
Brittany Mooney. First name Sunshine. Last name Munoz. Spell it for you. K-R-I-S-F-R-E-E-M-A-N.
As a first grade teacher, can't you sing that?
Lauratarpley.
Please welcome CFISD's Chief of Staff, Mrs. Teresa Hull.
Good evening. We will now recognize our Elementary Teachers of the Year. First, from Gleason Elementary School, we have Molly Malelo.
I love what I do. From a behaviorist standpoint, I want to know their triggers, I want to know their behavior, I want to know everything about them, but that doesn't happen instantly. Relationships don't happen instantly. And so there are all of these little pots that are getting stirred all the time within them. And you have to figure out how to reassure their little amygdalas, their little brains that they are okay, and then they can get into that executive functioning of learning. It is quite a feat, but it is one that I love taking on every single day. Getting them to taste success, as small as it can be, is, I think, one of the biggest things that you can do. But we celebrate. If you got a 4% on your first test with me, and then you got a 12%, hot dog, we have progress. So that's a big thing in my classroom, is we celebrate every drop of progress that we can see.
Next, from Alt Elementary, Rena Richardson.
When I was in elementary school, I had a Coach Smith. He was great about going above and beyond, teaching the different things. Like, he had us do a karate film. Yeah, I know. This was way back in the day. So he did a lot of extra stuff like that. They did a lot of extra sports after school that we all had opportunities to participate in. Because back then, not everybody had the opportunity to play outside of high school and stuff. We talk a lot about cooperative learning and learning with each other and growing from each other. And so we talk about just by listening to each other that we can become better. Just to see their smiles on their faces when they do well, or when they finally grasp a strategy or a concept, they're like, hey, I got it, this works. And you're like, yes. And so it's just a big celebration. When a kid comes up with a group of friends that he never had, that's a big deal, especially for the elementary school kids. To build those relationships, that matters for them.
From Walker Elementary, Laura Tarpley.
My class is amazing. I'm incredibly lucky this year. I'm teaching ESL, a cluster group, and they speak to my heart because I'm all about language development and teaching them the way that they can become successful. I want them to exit the program and be introduced into general ed. It's hard to see them struggle because you want the best for them. You want them to feel successful, and I don't ever want them to feel down on themselves. And it just reminds me of when I was in school. Most of it was easy. Everything came naturally to me, and then there was math. And it just didn't work. Something didn't click for me, and I see the same thing with them. I just know if I find what they're good at, then I can build that, and then we will get to the part that they're weak on. This is it for me. I love being a teacher. I get asked sometimes if I see myself doing something else, and I don't. I know I'll have to
maybe at some point switch the grade or something, but this is it for me. I'm going to be the old lady in the room teaching.
Next, we have Callie Pena, Florida, from Wilburn Elementary.
Well, my mom taught kindergarten also, and so I grew up in a kindergarten classroom, and I've always loved them little. There was never really a question of what grade I wanted. It was always kindergarten. My mom is a very enthusiastic teacher. She was a very kind and loving teacher, which is what I wanted to be also. Well, my mom is my inspiration, and she's who I've always wanted to grow up to be. So I always looked at her as if I could be, you know, half the woman or half the teacher that she is, I'd be doing something good. She always was there for her kids, and not just the kids that she was teaching, but any kid that she ever found. She always made sure that they knew she was in their corner, and so that's what I've always wanted to be, is just to let the kids know I'm in their corner and I'm there to support them and help them any way I can.
Next, from Sampson Elementary, Brittany Bondi.
I think I've always known I wanted to be a teacher. My poor little brother, he always got to be my student. That just was the way of life. And then when I was in 5th grade, I had an amazing teacher who just inspired me. She believed in me and, you know, made me think I could do anything. And I remember looking up at her one day and being like, I'm gonna be her one day. She just made learning fun. It was always exciting. Every day was, you know, something new. It was never the same open a textbook kind of classroom. We were moving around and engaged and, you know, talking with each other, but learning at the same time. And she believed in us. If you were to walk into my classroom right now, you would see laughter, you would see learning, kids excited to be there. They would be smiling. We wouldn't be sitting behind a desk. I have a roller coaster in the classroom, and you may see kids riding on that. Just everyone's happy. It's just a happy place and inviting.
Next, we have Rosanna Andrade from Bang Elementary School.
I grew up in Mexico. When we came here, I started school at Spring Branch ISD. I didn't know any English. I was submerged into a classroom and I felt lost. I didn't have any friends, and that's kind of the reason why I decided to become a bilingual teacher, to help students like myself at that time be able to come into a classroom with their home language, find a friendly face. We do a lot of acting out. We pretend to be characters in stories. We write our own stories, and the children build their confidence by acting out and being silly and saying words that they normally wouldn't say at home to build their academic language. They feel like the stars of the show. Everybody else is watching, waiting for them to come to life and be the actors of the story. It just builds their confidence, their self-esteem, and their language builds. It's just amazing.
From Swinky Elementary School, Kathleen Denoma.
If in 3rd grade or 4th grade, they're not getting something, if they're willing to work on it and I'm willing to work on it, they should be able to make progress and get it. I think that's a big thing about elementary. Nobody should feel like they're not good at something already. They shouldn't feel like they're not a good reader or not a good student in math. You should be good, feel like you're good at everything, because you can be good at everything in elementary school. I know it gets harder as you go up and things, and you naturally go to some strengths or, you know, your interests, but everybody should feel like they're a good math student and a good reading student in elementary. And most times, like when I was in 4th grade, people didn't like to write. But usually when they leave 4th grade, they do like to write. They just have to have experience with it and not have somebody who's crazy with a red pen saying, this is wrong, this is wrong. Anyway, elementary should be a positive experience, and everybody should be feel like they're good at everything, I think.
Gina Pena, Lampkin Elementary School.
Rewinding, as a little girl, there were 2 things I wanted to be. One was a ballerina and one was an artist.
As you can tell, size-wise, the ballerina wasn't going to work out, but the art was always there. I was always painting, I was always creating. I think in art, you teach everything. You've got the multicultural perspective, you've got the humanities perspective, you've got your math, and you've got your science. It's all there, and there's so much that we can teach with a spoonful of sugar, and the kids don't even know that you're integrating, because you've got that opportunity to just roll everything into visual arts. If we can instill in these children that their voice is valuable and their vision is valuable and their creation is valuable, I think that that will take them very, very far as contributing to this world and contributing and being true to who they are instead of who we think they should be.
From Homesley Elementary, Brandy Zambrano.
I wanted to travel, and then one day I just got home and I said, well, I'm getting a visa to Italy, and my parents were like, okay, I guess you're going. I learned about their history, I learned about the food. We had a cooking class, so I got to practice cooking Italian food. Whenever I got off the airplane, I arrived into Houston, and my mom looked at me and said, what happened to you? And I asked her, what do you mean? She goes, you're a lot bigger. There was this one time where I had a layover in Germany. And I got to this airport and I had no idea what the sign said. I had no idea where to go. I know I had to get on another plane, but I had no idea how to get there. So whenever I think about them in the classroom, I think about that experience on how we could have signs all over the place, or we could be reading things, but they've never seen that before. They've never heard it before. It's gonna take time. It might take a little bit more time for them to learn them, but eventually they'll get there.
Next, we have Miley Wiggum from Pope Elementary.
I had a relative who had a foster home specifically for kids with special needs, and so I grew up around them and always had a passion for those kids and always sought those kids out anytime I saw them in public or at school functions or church functions. I just really had a passion for those kiddos and knew that I wanted to teach them. The kids with special needs, they just found the joy in the smallest things. So just smiling at them made them happy, whereas my other friends oh, your shirt's not right, or they were as accepting of me, so it made it easy for me to be accepting of them. And I just loved watching their faces light up when you interact with them, their joy in all the small things. And I liked watching them grow up from year to year, seeing the gains that they would make, even as a kid. Probably one of the most fun things to do is on Fridays, we'll have general ed peers come in and they cook with us, which all my kids love the cooking, but all kids love cooking because they get to eat at the end of it. So that's really cool to just see those interactions between their peers.
From Danish Elementary, Angie Pena.
I do remember my third grade teacher, Miss Trevino. I guess I wasn't a very fast learner. And she would just say, you'll get there, just take your time. She would literally just wait for you. Miss Trevino was always such a very calm lady, calm. I don't consider myself calm, but I would have never parallel myself with her. She was such an awesome lady. So I had a kid that would run out of my room constantly because he never wanted to be there. So every morning I would wait for mom, carry the child in, and we'd just walk through the room till he calmed down. And then he would just sit for a while until little by little he started sitting down, reading with me. You just see them, and when they finally get it, you see that little face go, so just wait. They get it.
Next, we have Stacy Fisher, Copeland Elementary.
I think she was my third grade teacher that would always kind of be right in there and showing us that she was silly, but we still learned. I sing not very well, but I told them I interviewed for the music teacher, and I just had to turn them down. We dance. I learned how to do the new dances with the kids, and the floss dance. That was the new one this year. So I went home and I showed my kids, my own kids, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, stop!" So. I know a lot of adults want, oh, the kid, they have to respect us. But at the same time, you have to respect them. And you have to know that when they walk in that door, you don't know what their life is out there. And yeah, you want them to be smart, make straight A's, but it's not what it's all about. If I can get their attention to let them know, hey, you know, I'm here, I'm with you, we're all here, we have to learn this, but we can make it fun. And I feel like that my relationship with my kids, my students, kind of makes me kind of where I am today.
Diana Barraza from Owens Elementary.
My math classroom, you're going to see these kids. They are super excited to learn about math. I promise you. You would think, what? No, I'm not good at math. I don't want to, but no. Every single day I teach 4 classes, so roughly 175 kids. Every single morning, somebody comes up to me and says, hey, Ms. Barraza, what's happening today? What are we going to learn today? And I'm always like, oh, you'll see. Find out when you come. They're like super excited. Somebody is every day. They begin to have a love for learning. They want to be at school. They want to, see what the next day is going to bring, whether math is their passion or science or reading, but mostly math. I have kids coming back to me all the time. Oh, I did this, or guess what we're doing now? Remember you said we're going to do this? Well, I'm learning it now. It's just awesome to see the growth, especially because math with most kids, no, my parents aren't good at that. I'm not going to be good at it, and to watch them succeed, it's pretty amazing.
Next, we have Amy Brocious from Feast Elementary.
Everybody in my classroom has a job. I have a person who's like turning out the lights, or someone who's helping me, my computer technician, who's helping me with the computer, setting up like the PowerPoint for our class meeting for the day. And so they're all doing different things, but they're all important things. Even though they're only 5, 6 years old, they still have responsibility, and that they have an important place in our classroom, and hopefully when they're older, they'll know that they have an important place in the world. I want them to know that they can make a difference with whatever they want to do in life, that they can make a difference. Even when they're young, they can make a difference, and they can positively impact somebody else the way that other people have impacted me. And so I want them to grow up knowing that.
From Adam Elementary, DeAndre Hobson.
My goal is for my kids to have a deeper understanding of math and to enjoy math. In my classroom, you're going to see technology everywhere. My students love using their iPads, they love using their Chromebooks. We do a lot of videos. They are immersed in technology each day, connecting technology with the math. Sometimes my kids will have a math problem and they're having to use Flipgrid to explain their math to me. And sometimes it's easier for a kid to make a video versus telling me on pencil paper. The videos are very entertaining. Sometimes the kids like to, add different emojis to the videos, different sayings, and sometimes it catches me off guard. My kids are having a blast using technology and math. It goes beyond the standard worksheet, and it just really gets them to love math.
Next, we have Donna Snook from Postma Elementary.
I greet them when they walk in the classroom every morning, tell them good morning, high fives, hugs, letting them know that if they need anything, I'm right there for them. If they're having a bad day, we can sit down and we can talk about it. They didn't get enough sleep that night, or they didn't get to sit on the bus where they wanted to, or mom and dad were rushing them out the door in the morning and they didn't wear their favorite socks, or little things like that, but it turns their days upside down. Just seeing their little aha moments, as I call them. Knowing when they've realized, I can read. These aren't just letters on a page, these actually make up words, and the words make up sentences. And I had one come up yesterday and say, I can read. I said, yes, you can. And they said, this is awesome. So just seeing their little aha moments of when they realize that, yes, they can do it is what I love to see.
From Horn Elementary, Sarah Hoffman.
I've always wanted to be a teacher, and then my little brother got diagnosed with autism when I was 10, and so I've always known I wanted to do special ed. He had so many amazing teachers growing up, and I got to kind of work in their classrooms and observe them, and I knew that I wanted to be that kind of teacher. I mean, just kind of learning even outside the classroom, calling after school to kind of see how his night at home was, or showing up at sports things or things like that. They're awesome. So a lot of them I've had since they were in 1st or 2nd grade, so and they all stay in my classroom, so I've really gotten to see them grow. It just can kind of make my day. I can have a really bad day and I get to school and they just light up my life. I don't know. I go over to Truett Middle School and go visit my old students sometimes just to see how they're doing, because I don't see them every day like I used to. It depends on the kiddo. Some of them come up to me with huge hugs and others will kind of hide, like, what is she doing here? I've had them in my classroom for so many years. For me to just never see them every day, I need to continue that kind of having that friendship with them, and I still keep in touch with their families.
From Hancock Elementary, Courtney Banks.
A mother knows her children. So even though I have 43, you know when something's not right with your kids because you know them. When my boys died, it changed my world. And so, you know, you kind of have to find out who you are. And teaching was the one thing in my life that I had before I became a mother. So you go back to what you know. So I poured everything I had into my school babies. They became my kids. I mean, I loved them before, but they really became just my everything, because that's the one thing I could connect with to what I did before. You know, before I ever became a mother, I was a teacher. So everything in my life centers around school. So my baby comes to school in the summertime, or, you know, when I have to do things. And, you know, Fridays, they come by the classroom because mommy's probably going to work late. And, you know, as I'm preparing things, I tell her, you know, get ready, because this will be your life from the time you really understand what you're going to do. You're going to be like Daddy in dread when it's time to help mommy move all of her things back into her classroom.
Next, we have Kelly Bartels from Burke Elementary.
Reading is what I teach. However, what I want most importantly is for kids to choose kind. I want kids to teach each other with respect. We know that when we see a kid alone at recess, to ask them to play with us. We know when we see a kid at lunch alone, to ask them to join us, to be a friend. And I really think it might go back to when I was younger, and sometimes that was me. For instance, I have a little girl who taught her friend sign language. She's not hearing impaired, but her father is. And she taught her friend sign language because she saw the hearing impaired children at school alone at recess. They never played with anybody else. So she gathered all her little friends. She taught them sign language. So now they just run around and they all play together. And it just makes my heart so happy that she could do this, that she had that much compassion. And I want to hope that it's because of our book that she did this, and it lets me know that just a child really can change the world with an act of kindness.
From Haregrove Elementary, Belinda Martinez.
Ever since I was a little girl, it was like my dream to teach kindergarten or pre-K. I remember very little from pre-K and kinder. I don't remember what I learned. I must have learned the letters and sounds and my name and all that, but I don't remember learning that. But I remember my teacher's name, and I knew that she loved me. And that's what I remember all these years later. So I want my students to have that experience. I have high expectations for the academics, and I expect them to learn what they need to learn. But also, I make it in a way that it's fun for them and that they know that I care for them. Because I know in 20 years, they're not going to remember what they learned, but they're going to remember how they felt coming to Haregrove. And I want them to have that feeling that they loved coming and remember that. If they don't remember my name, at least they'll remember how they felt in my class.
Next, we have Jeremy King from McPhee Elementary.
When I was in college, I worked at the children's shelter, and I
I saw that most of the issues that could be fixed were due to a lack of education, either on the parents' part or on the children's part. A lot of, especially the kids and the parents too, sometimes they don't believe in themselves until somebody else believes in them, and then they once you demonstrate how they can be successful and whatever challenges or goals they have, then they start to work really hard on their own to achieve those goals, and they don't need it's like a jump start for them making better decisions for themselves. It starts in elementary. If you can get them off on the right foot in elementary, then it carries on into middle and high school and their career. I feel like education is the equalizer. If there's going to be any justice and equality in the world, it's going to be because of education.
Next, we have Brittany Mooney from Yeager Elementary.
After high school, I graduated on my birthday, June 1st. And June 16th, I was in the Navy in boot camp. I was a mechanic and worked on a flight deck and serviced helicopters. I never worked on cars, never was a mechanic. So it's funny when I think about it, like, wow, I was a mechanic. I worked on helicopters. I fueled them up to know, like, really my resilience and what I can do in ways that I never thought. Now, as a first grade teacher, I'm stretched in other ways that I never thought. Our school does a Big Veterans Day program each year, and all my students were like, Miss Mooney, you're a veteran. And the girls wanted to know, how did I do my hair? Were you able to wear makeup? But the boys were like, did you shoot a gun? I mean, I think that moment is when I really connected with the boys in my classroom, because they were like, whoa. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yes.
From Andre Elementary, Quinn Baker.
I was my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Glace, and it really had nothing to do with academics. It was the relationship. Maybe things weren't going great at home, and was that extra role model and that extra support growing up. And I was like, well, I think I could help kids out with the same thing. Many kids that I see now, they don't have parents that are very supportive at home, or that very loving, or help them with their homework or stuff like that. So she saw me struggling in school and took that, extra time with me that, other teachers didn't. It's easier for me now to pick up on maybe things that are going on at home, or, them showing those outward signs of them needing attention. I can pick up on that and see where they maybe not just need academics, but they need maybe someone to talk to. It feels good that I can give back and show the support that I was shown. And makes me feel good.
Next, we have Christina Porter from Lowry Elementary.
My mom used to take care of a lot of children in our neighborhood. I grew up in a small town, so pretty much all the children on our street where my mom took care of them. And I would gather them around and set up crafts from a very early age, and then make them do what I wanted them to do. And then we would have our snack time, and I would schedule our whole day. So I think that was probably the time when everybody knew this would probably be a great career. This is where we're heading. So from very, very young, that's what I did. Actually, being a teacher is such a huge responsibility. I never realized how much trust and just that people put in you. I mean, teachers, I'm kind of stumbling over this, but this community puts so much trust and confidence in teachers to build the children. And I look at them every day and I go, am I doing what's best for you? And I want to make sure I'm doing what's best for them. So that's it's a far greater responsibility than I realized it was going to be.
Next, from Moore Elementary, Chris Freeman.
I was at home watching the news footage and watching all the drone coverage and everything when I saw somebody going by a boat, down Lakewood Forest and taking pictures of the school. And when we found out that we had water definitely in, because we'd gotten some water the tax day flood, but this was way, way more. Having Matsky right next door to us and being available was pretty amazing, for us to be able to move into that building and to still be together. I had a lot of kids who had flooded themselves that were living in their upstairs floor without any bottom floor, or living with relatives living an hour away that were driving in. And so we were family. And we came together. We're still seeing the successes we would have seen at the other campus, so we're in a different building. Big deal. We're still us. We're still more. We're still the armadillos. And so we're making it through, and we're ready to close out the year and get into our new school.
Next, we have Leanne Dyer from Emory Elementary.
If you've ever been in a kindergarten classroom, you're going to get a lot of emotions. They're 5. They don't know how to control their emotions. A lot of them don't have coping skills, and it's very evident. We have a lot of criers, or they don't know that touching is just touching, it's not hitting. And so seeing that growth in a child and understanding that it's okay to be sad and here's how we handle it, and seeing a child who maybe didn't have empathy at the beginning of the year, but now is the child bringing the child crying a tissue and saying, are you okay? We have a social contract, and because I teach 5-year-olds, it's called Classroom Promises. And my very first one, which is the most important one, is to be kind. And that encompasses everything. Be kind. We have use kind words, kind actions, and be a friend. And I think adults can learn a lot from that. We need to build those relationships and have that empathy and that kindness, and there's just so much to learn from them. So much.
Come up to the X. From Matsky Elementary, Judy Wagner.
If you are creative, you have a different approach. You're able to take a different approach to different problems. There's not always one way to solve a problem. They could come out from different directions and solve a problem the way that they feel comfortable. We are in this society that realizes we need creative people. I mean, technology is just booming, and there are so many things technology can do, but creativity is kind of hard to recreate with technology. I've seen children as they go from kindergarten to 5th grade, even during that short amount of time, their creativity seems to be a little stifled because they are programmed to do things a certain way. But in art, I'm trying to encourage them. There is not that certain way. What way do you want to do it? How do you want to approach this problem? And take it from there.
Next, we have Rolanda Williams from Lee Elementary.
I was sitting in the 3rd grade classroom watching my teacher teach, and I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I honestly think it was just her ability to connect to me. When I was in 3rd grade, my parents actually separated. And so it was a moment where I had my own challenges at home, but she was able to bring out the best in me in that time. And she actually cared. Her ability to just pull me into the moment and help me to be present and also show compassion for what I was going through, really, it just inspired me to be like her, to be someone who could connect and be present, but also bring out the best in someone.
From Duryea Elementary, Jason Lancaster.
Being able to share my experiences, I was blessed with, my family growing up. We went camping, we went on trips, we went on vacations. I had grandparents, and my parents, would show me, nature and then how things worked. And then now I get to share that with my kids. I know a lot of my kids don't get those experiences, and so just me being able to share that with them is really rewarding. I had some kids that had never been to the beach, and we're 60 miles from the beach. And I'm like, guys, we gotta go. You gotta go. I mean, we used to spend the entire summers down in the beach, and we talk about tides, and we talk about water cycle, all the stuff, science. And then it got them excited after spring break. Mr. Lancaster, guess what we did? What'd you do? We went to the beach. So I just want my kids, my classroom kids, to experience some of the things that I did that I found rewarding so that maybe one day they can pass that on, to their kids and to future generations.
Next, we have Lori Casamas from Black Elementary.
I love first graders. They are so innocent, so sweet. They're at the age where they know some boundaries, but they still really need you. And the smiles on their faces are priceless, the toothless grins, the tears you get when they, fear that they've done something wrong, and reassurance. And there's just so many things to first graders that are so intriguing to me every single year. I think for me, being a mom and being a teacher, I couldn't imagine any other relationship, and how fortunate I've been to be able to see the growth, and it helps me to understand kids. I know what they're going through, or I try to put myself in their place, and I'm always seeking to grow and become better at what I do, because I want my children's teachers to do the same thing. And as a parent, you're always thinking, what if that was my child? You want to do the best for them.
From Post Elementary, Leslie Strom.
So often the kids are coming into my room saying, I can't do something. And my absolute desire at the end of the day is for a kid to come in and walk out saying, I can do it. When I got into education, it started with having this vision, this passion about children that come into the world with an obstacle that they didn't ask for, an obstacle that they didn't create themselves. Adults create things, but children don't. And so I come into the classroom every day thinking, I want to be your advocate. I want to be there for you. You didn't choose your home. You didn't choose your economics. You didn't choose your disability. So I get that. And I want to be able to come in and give you any support that I can to help you cross the finish line. And that is my purpose in teaching. That's my passion for teaching. And that's what I'm going to do every day until I stop teaching.
Next, we have Kazi Escalante from Millsap Elementary.
Well, I have a mix of special ed students and regular ed students, which I enjoy working with both populations. We work in small groups, and it's like a family. It's a safe place for kids to learn. They learn from each other, both populations. The special ed kids learn from the regular ed kids learn from the special ed kids, and it's a way of learning acceptance. That's what makes a successful adult, is to be able to go beyond themselves and help other people in their lives. The kids are our future, and the kind of place that I want to live is a place where people are caring and giving and step up when somebody needs help. That's the place I want to live. So that's what I want my students to grow up knowing how to do, or doing right now.
From Rennell Elementary, Michelle Bellamy.
In 2009, my husband and I decided to go teach overseas in international schools. We spent 3 years in Budapest, Hungary, 2 years in Hangzhou, China, and 2 years in Yaoundé, Cameroon, in West Africa. They're the same all over the world. They all can't wait to get to school. They all can't wait to be there. The new day, every time they come in, it's a new day. Some things can happen, they can be upset, but the next day they come in, they love you and they want to be there and they want to learn. PPCD is a preschool program for children with disabilities. There is a very wide range of children. The disabilities can range anywhere from speech to some things that are more severe. But what I love about the program is you think all about what this can do for the children with disabilities, how much they grow from this. But I am telling you now, my general ed kids get just as much out of this experience as those BPCD kids do. They are more empathetic, they are more kind. The way that they treat people with differences, it has been amazing. Their ability to accept everyone, no matter what they look like or what their differences are, that starts young, and you see it in that classroom.
Next, we have Megan Martin from Metcalf Elementary.
I was a student at Millsap Elementary, Hamilton Middle School, and Cy Falls High School. And I did the Ready, Set, Teach program at Cy Falls, which led me to my passion of teaching. It was an elective, but I've always wanted to be a teacher, and I just wanted to join to see if that was what I really wanted to do when I graduated high school. We would spend 3 hours a day going to campuses in Cypher and mentoring students, teaching them. My teacher, Miss Warwick, she just taught us the passion of teaching. It's not about the lessons, it's more about the relationships you have with the students. She was probably my biggest mentor. The way she spoke to us, the way every day was a new day, because we were high schoolers. Of course, we weren't perfect teachers. When I graduated from college, I knew the only place I wanted to be was in Cypher. Just the diversity of the students and the teachers and the staff, it's where I would want to be.
Next, we have Judy Vogt from Keith Elementary.
It was really hard. It was really, really hard. My first year was tough. It was very different teaching older kids than it was teaching younger kiddos. They are aware of a lot of what goes on at home and a lot of the things that their parents are worried about. Last week I had someone whose older sister got booted out of the house, and she just boo-hooed all day long because she was so upset about it. And if someone comes in upset, you know, whether it's big sister was kicked out or they lost their bracelet on the playground, you're not going to do anything with curriculum until everybody's ready to be there. So those issues have to get worked out first, and that sort of primary curriculum is important, and teaching what I'm supposed to is important. We take a STAR test, and those things are paramount. We have to learn, but the component of, you know, how they're feeling and how are they ready to engage in that kind of stuff. You know, if you're having a bad day and all you're thinking about is what's going on at home, you're really not in a place that you can learn. So that stuff has to happen first. We all have to be happy, or at least as happy as we can be, and ready to learn.
Next, from Joel Elementary, Caroline Williams.
I think that in the beginning, as a first-year teacher, I struggled just like any other first-year teacher. And then I think once I kind of got that, you know, push from fellow teachers, coworkers, and administrators that kind of, you know, kept me going, I really found that I absolutely loved this, and I started realizing that the impact I had on students was greater than the struggles that I sometimes endure. Like my classroom, I like to make sure that all of my students come to school every single day wanting to be there. You know, they wake up and they're not dreading coming to my class. I want a school where teachers and students come running. I definitely have a wonderful group of administrators at my current school who have kind of given me this push to where I am now, to reach for my goals, to get my master's, and to just strive to be the best. And I definitely would like to be like them. I'd like to, you know, encourage other leaders and to help other teachers and really just create a culture where students and teachers are happy and love to come to school.
From Tips Elementary, Edna Gonanine.
When I was in first grade, I didn't speak any English, and my teacher only spoke English. The very first time I ever meet them is meet the parent night, and I tell them I've been expecting them. I see fear in their eyes when they know that their children are growing, and they're going to be learning some things that they don't know, like a new language, and they're scared that they don't have the support from me to help them so that they can help them at home. We have a lot of communication. I use a lot of technology. I send them pictures literally every day of what they're doing. A lot of our parents work a lot, and they don't get to see or ask them, what did you learn? Or they don't have a chance to visit our campus or visit with me, but they're getting notifications saying, hey, look what I did today at school. And they can see where their child is developing. They even show their writing to their parents via technology. And so their parents can see their growth. They may not be available to be in school with them, but they can definitely communicate with me back and forth how they see their children going. So.
From Emmett Elementary, Lindsay Collier.
I kind of thought that I was going to go teach in the Peace Corps or something. That was kind of my original thought. I started doing field work, and I just felt like I should stay. I mean, there's as much need here. Kids come to school with like a lot of baggage and a lot of things, and you know, I try to find time to talk about those things. And last year we had like a social club with like our 5 or 6 roughest boys. We did things like made them bring candy to like and share it, and talked about like how we felt, and you know, and like my team is great with that stuff. We have really honest conversations about people and the people in our class that are different and what makes them different and why that's okay and things like that. And so I think that one of my biggest goals as being a teacher is not just giving them that information for 3rd grade. It's giving them some life information too, so that they can go on and be better people and better citizens.
Next, we have Stephanie Ingverson, Wells Elementary.
In 3rd grade, I had this teacher named Mrs. Clemens, and she just had a way with just students, and you knew you would come into her classroom every day, and she loved you for who you were. And I got the news that she passed away, and that was really traumatic for me, because, I mean, of course, I came to school every day. She was my favorite teacher, and she made such a difference in my life, and I could tell that she really, really cared about me. And so I just hope one day that, you know, students just have like this little moment in their life and they have just this flashback where they're sitting in my classroom and they're sharing their good news for the day, or I'm giving them a hug, or we're just acting silly. And I hope that moment makes their day better, or makes their life better, and pushes them to do the things that they're meant to do.
From Leader Elementary, Brandy Mendoza.
I always used to love to play school, you know, since I was itty bitty. But I think with my mom also being in education, it really inspired me. My mom really helped bring that creativity out in me. I am definitely not somebody who likes to just look at the curriculum and go right from there. I've always been known to just kind of tweak it and make it my own. And that's something that my mom always did too. She was always the creative one, coming up with innovative ideas. I just remember my mom singing songs, and she had something for every letter in the alphabet for the kids to remember the sounds and the recognition. So it's the setting is the time and the place. Look at your watch, look at the space. Conflict is the problem, the theme is what I learned, the plot is the order of event that occurs. So that's one of our favorites too, and it really does stick. So.
Representing Francone Elementary, Lauren Judo.
I started elementary at Matsky Elementary. I went to Blyle, and then I graduated from Cy Creek. My favorite teacher would be Miss Love. I think what was different about Miss Love was that she found ways to make learning fun. I find ways that my kids are interested in learning. They like technology, so I try and incorporate as much technology as I can with them, but just interacting in ways with them that they enjoy, and they create things, and I love for them to create things because it allows them to be themselves. I still have a ways to go to be just like her, but I think that my kids enjoy coming to school, and that's where they want to be. Like I went to school, and that's where I wanted to be. We sing songs together, we do hand motions, we do movements, but I try to, like I said, find ways that they want to interact with each other and to group work, not just have to do things by themselves.
Next, we have Stacy Hernandez from Woodard Elementary.
Actually, I found I enjoy the struggling students because my husband was that student. So it's kind of funny. My husband's complete opposite of me. So, and he actually is a teacher, teaches at ALC. He even said he would have been in ALC if he had ALC when he was in high school. But he ended up going into the Army, and that kind of changed him. And then he went into teaching as well. I feel like I'm kind of like his stability that he didn't have growing up. You know, his parents were divorced, and, you know, he kind of ran, you know, was, you know, made some choices that weren't always the best when he was a kid, but I think my way I grew up was different, and it was kind of like a stability, you know, for him, and more of like a rock, I guess. The teacher pleasers will always, you know, they're easy to have in your class, and you do love them and you do enjoy them, but I think what keeps me going year after year are those difficult kids that, you know, that need somebody there for them because they're missing somebody in their life. So that's what keeps me going after, you know, coming back every year, so.
Next, from Hamilton Elementary, Heather DeCook.
So I'm from a family of educators, and I wanted nothing to do with it. I would see my parents on Sundays drag out the bag, the laptops, the graded papers, and I said, this is not for me. So my senior year, I was studying business, and I was engaged at the time, and he was saying, why are you doing business? Are you passionate about this? You love kids. You've always talked about wanting to somehow have kids as your future, and you're in business. So my senior year, second semester, I changed to education, and it was the best decision I've ever made. I had a teacher that nobody wanted, and she was just very strict. She was more old school, and so you came in, you opened up your desk this way because your books were in your desk, and you worked, and you didn't talk to each other, and you worked, and school was business. So I think students having a voice in the classroom is important. It's a family unit, and it's them getting to take part and feel like their opinion matters, and what we do in classroom, it matters to all of us.
Next, we have Celeste Angel from Kirk Elementary.
I said to my AP 10th grade teacher that I would never, ever return to a classroom. Just was always bored. I grew up in a time to where we sat at desks, there was not much movement around. I would be one of those, maybe I would finish first, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and it's like, okay, so what do I do next? And if I started talking to someone, then it was almost like, kind of got in trouble for that. So now, just allowing kids to just talk and be themselves. It's okay to have conversation, you know, with your peers, but also if you're getting your work done at the same time. A lot of times we listen to music, a lot of times in there, and the kids are moving and dancing. I always have something for my kids to do. If someone comes in and asks me, well, how do you do this here? Well, I have this activity and I have this activity. Once they finish this activity, they can maybe read a book, then they can write about the book. You know, here's another activity that they can go and do. Here's something else they can work on. So I always have that in mind of always having something for them to do or to complete to make sure they're not bored, to where they are learning and they are being challenged.
From Bain Elementary, Susan Dennis Garza.
Came from Venezuela in '96, and fifth grade is when I first got here. I went to Adam Elementary. It was definitely different. It was a culture shock for me. I did struggle in some areas, like reading. It just brings me back to when I had that struggle, so I try my best to try to make a connection with what I'm teaching to what they already know. So, for example, when we put our things away, we might say like, twinkle, twinkle, little star, time to clean up where you are. Put your things back into place, keep a smile up on your face. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, time to clean up where you are. Some of them know the song, some of them don't, some of them catch on to it, but it allows them to use language in the classroom, which is very important for bilingual students. It gets them to open up and really use that language. So hopefully that will be seen in reading and writing and everything else.
From Holbrook Elementary, Lanisha Jones.
My goal with them is to get them as close to their general education peers as possible, even if it's just them blending in and doing what the kids are doing. I mean, I know that some of them won't be intellectually there, but as long as they're fitting in and the other kids are treating them with respect and they're treating the other kids with respect. One of my students, their mother was not able to take them out in public outside of a stroller, and so they were concerned that they would have to, be that parent pushing the big kid in the stroller, and so I just worked with him on walking next to me, holding hands, just so that they could go somewhere. And so the mom came back to me and she was really proud that they went to Dillard's and they'd have to push from the stroller. And to me, that was a big deal because I couldn't imagine having a kid and you can't take him anywhere. And so to me, that was just a big deal. I try to look at the big picture for my kids because I don't want them to grow up and somebody always babying them and feeling sorry for them because every disability doesn't look like a disability.
Next, we have Kimberly Haber from Hemingway Elementary.
I was the student who got all A's, but talked the entire time, so it's probably a bit of a handful. I think that talking is probably how my students learn the best. Collaborating with one another, trying new things, talking about why this was successful, why this wasn't successful. In the ELA world, why this is the theme versus why this isn't the theme. And they could come to a realization that there doesn't have to be one theme to one story, and that everyone sees the world through a different lens, and therefore we can all kind of agree to disagree, or to just at least see each other's point of views. I guess my goal as a teacher is to not leave the quiet ones behind, but to engage them with a talker, because the talker is going to be able to bring so much more out of that student than we ever would have been able to see in them. So I think that when my students are speaking to one another, they're really creating not only moments for them to learn from me, but moments for them to learn from one another as well.
From A. Robinson Elementary, Kelly Etkin.
I went to college for genetics to figure out what was happening or what was wrong and how I could fix it. And because my aunt is mentally handicapped, so I was headed that direction and decided I wasn't going to be in a lab all day long. So I went into special education. And then I taught special education for 17 years and then moved into the dyslexia. Most of them have already struggled. They've already had failures. They've already, don't feel like they can do it. A lot of them have already given up and they don't even want to try. So when I get them, we're gonna do it. But you and I, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna know what we need to do. We're gonna find those little tricks that work for you, and then we can move on because you're gonna be successful.
Next, we have Amy Healy from Warner Elementary.
I played school a lot all the way growing up. I still have a chalkboard that I had when I was a little girl. And then when I went to college, I didn't think I was going to be a teacher, but I sat in a few business classes and I hated it. I remember a little boy I taught that was an ESL student. English was difficult, reading was difficult, and when he noticed that words had ED on the end of them, and he started saying words with ED on the end and looking at the word and looking at me and looking at the word, and that light bulb went off. That's amazing. Their joy of learning and the look on their face and their aha when they put the pieces together is amazing. And having always been a reading teacher, my biggest accomplishment as a professional is I've taught a kid to read.
From Hoover Elementary, Yoselini Garrido.
I really love the joy of pre-K. The kids are just so genuine. They're so themselves. There's nothing to hide. Starting with what happened in the morning, mommy said this and that. Really, we were sleeping, or I wasn't really sick, Miss Garrido, so they would tell me everything. I feel like I'm like Mama Hen. I take care of them like they were my babies. And if you're a pre-K teacher, you know why. We do everything for them. We teach them how to sit, how to use the restroom, how to be polite. And even as you see them and they say hi, or if they don't say hi, you can see something's going on. And sometimes I don't express it, because sometimes I don't speak incomplete sentences to tell you what's going on. But, you're like a mommy at school for them. It's kind of pre-K, our job as teachers. But, well, I feel that way. I feel like I'm a mommy for them.
Next, we have Meredith Robertson from Sheridan Elementary.
We do a morning meeting every single morning. I need to find out what's going on with them so that we can continue with our day. Otherwise, you're just at a roadblock. If they walk in with their head down, then there's no teaching going to happen that day. So I'm at a Title I school, and so they come in with lots of baggage. I'm already crying. For the kids that I've experienced so far, they need to come in and kind of unwind and get ready for their day. I want to establish community with them, and then trust, and then we go from there. And we do well that way. So I feel like I might be their only person. Some of them don't have a person. So if I can be that person for 1 out of 22, I think that's important. But what I really love is that I form connections with them, and I see them years after, and so I feel like I'm always there for them no matter what.
From Farney Elementary, Rebecca Mesa.
Probably the most important thing we teach is for them to take care of each other and watch out for each other. And just the other day, I have 2 students who they're like oil and water. The other day, they came in from recess, and they go, "Miss Mesa, we played together today. Miss Mesa, we're friends now." And my class decided that we needed to celebrate. So we had a dance party to celebrate their friendship. And so it was just exciting to see how they connected with each other, and then how the rest of the class wanted to celebrate that and support them. It made me so proud and so excited, because all you can think about is they're 7 now, but maybe, this will stick, and someday later on, they're gonna be in a situation at work or in their families, or they're gonna marry someone whose family they don't get along with, and they're gonna be able to know, pursue it, continue, always be kind first, and maybe they can resolve, and it'll help them resolve at least one situation in the future.
Next, from M. Robinson Elementary, Sunshine Munoz.
I've always learned differently. I've always marched to the beat of my own drum, I guess, for lack of a better term. I kind of tend to understand my kids and the way they think, the way they like to do things, because it's different. That's what differentiated instruction is. They do things different. They're all individuals. I feel like God gives everybody a gift, and that is what my gift is. He's given me the gift of patience and love, and I've always been a person who roots for the odd man out, roots for the people that no one pays attention to, that no one gives love to, that no one believes in. And I'm ridiculously optimistic, so I feel like for my children, I have to be able to be a person who doesn't see a box. They don't fit in any box. The sky's the limit for them. So I feel with my personality and just the gift that God gave me is why I do what I do.
From Reed Elementary, Kamitra Baker.
The kids that I teach are the same economic background that I grew up with. In order for them to perform well at school, they have to know that everything's okay at home. And when they're at school, a lot of the times they're thinking about stuff that's going on at home. And I remember being that kid. There were certain times where our lights were disconnected, or I would see myself eating, but maybe my mom wasn't. So I felt what the kids felt. My mom just never allowed me to get discouraged, and she never allowed me to settle for less. So I've always been a hard worker. I've always wanted to be more than I am right now, and I wanted to instill that in students. Like when I became Teacher of the Year, that was a big thing. We celebrated that. Them seeing me the way I work. I don't ask them to do anything that I'm not going to do myself. Every test they take, I try to take it before them. So I know exactly what they're going to have to go through. I wanted to be that teacher for those kids that let them know that, everything will be okay if you just keep pushing forward.
From Wilson Elementary, Veronica Castillo.
It's fun in first grade. You get to have fun, and really, you are at the beginning of their education. They want everything. They want to learn. They want to take from you. Anything you teach them or show them, they're excited about that, and that's what I love. I have 21. And I have one that counts for 20. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't a good reader when I was in school, so I struggled a little bit with that, and I wasn't the best speller, and yet to this day I think I'm not the best at spelling. But growing up, going to school was hard, and with all the problems that we had in our home, I talked to them all the time about when I was accepted to A&M and how I felt about receiving my letter in the mail and about going to A&M and learning all these different things and getting out there in the world. And even though it was hard, making it. I said, but if you start now in first grade really wanting it in your heart and really wanting to do better, then you will carry that through.
And our final honoree from Fraser Elementary, Tanya Coops.
There's some kids who have felt very little success throughout school, period. And I was like, okay, we're gonna move up. You're not gonna stay there. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do, but if I have to spin circles, I'll spin circles. I was blessed to get this group of kids. They struggle. Their parents can't talk to me because they speak in Spanish. So we talk over text with a Google Translate. But they let their kids come to me because they know I love them. And I want them to do well. Like, I don't want them to leave saying, Miss Coops didn't even notice. Miss Coops, she just passed me along like everybody else. And I want them to know. I want them to know that. I want them to know that my heart is big enough for them.
Please welcome CFISD Board President, Dr. John Ogletree.
What a night, what a night. On behalf of the board, we want to just thank you for everything you've done. You are the creme de la creme. You do all that you do with rigor, relevance, and relationships. And you are the purveyors of more than just the content and the context. You do much more than that. You're the purveyors of love, compassion, and hope. Our board thanks you because we know each day that you enter the classroom. You convey the message of this district, opportunity for all. May God bless and keep you, and we look forward to being in your room, looking at you, shaking your hand, and applauding the results of everything you do. God bless you.
And one more warm welcome for CFISD's Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Mark Henry.
Well, it's tough to follow those videos, and then you have to follow someone as eloquent as Dr. Ogletree. But I am going to close us, and you know, one of the things that caught me with our secondary and our elementary teachers is not one person said, you know, I pursued that teaching degree because I was going to be a millionaire. I didn't hear that one time tonight. What I heard was that someone made a difference in your life, and you wanted to make a difference in someone else's life, and that's the common thread. And as Dr. Ogletree so eloquently put it, yes, the content is important, but the relationships are much more important, because you've all heard this, but a child doesn't care how much you know until they know how much you care, and that's a truth. And all of you displayed that in your videos today, and I know you do that in your everyday life. Friends, family members, staff, faculty members, thank you so much for coming here to honor these teachers tonight. I do want him to stand up, and Dave, DeJean, and his team, y'all stand up over here, and let's recognize them for the great work. Although your video may have only been 1 minute long, he had about 96 of them to do, along with Mitzi over here. So I know it takes a lot of work and a lot of talent, and we appreciate all the work they did. Thank you so much. I know it's a late night for elementary teachers. You know, one of the things that I always tell our new teachers that the first thing you have to learn coming from college is you got to know the difference between a weeknight and the weekend. And here I've kept you up too late. So I hope you all have a great evening, and thank you for honoring us with your presence this evening. Good night.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a safe drive home, and to all, a good night.